she's like, oh, he already went back to New York.
Yeah.
He flew back to New York this morning. And so he's like, I'll come over.
I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The whole time he's talking to her, trying to, calm her down and stuff over the phone, he's playing with the mannequin with the agent's scalp on it with her, like, nightgown. Oh. And he's just like, oh, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And then he hangs up and then he gets ready. And then that's when he goes into the bathroom and he's talking to himself again. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I know, we gotta, like, watch out for her or something. And then he looks over to the side and you see a child mannequin. And that's, I think, what he is talking to the whole time is the child version of him. And that's when he shows up at Anna's apartment, right? Mm-hmm. And he walks in, he's like, oh, how are you doing? Are you okay? And then he sees, what's his name? Her neighbor?
Oh,
Martin?
Yeah, Martin.
Martin, yeah. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you had company. I'm sorry for intruding. And then she's like, oh, no, it's okay. And then he's like, well, I'm going to leave. I got a gig in the morning.
Because he's like an actor. He does commercials and stuff. And he's like, I got a
toothpaste commercial in the morning.
So I'm going to leave you guys to it. And he looks back and he says, take good care of her, Frank.
Yeah.
And he leaves. And then they kind of they sit down together, and Frank kind of consoles her, and he's like, oh, I know what you need, and he starts giving her this kind of back rub.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I'm so tense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's starting to get really sexual, because she's kind of like, she's enjoying it, and then he's slowly taking off her like robe. And then he kind of takes off the top of her shirt, kind of
the spaghetti strap.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh no, I can't," And then she starts talking about her agent again. She's like, I can't believe she's gone.
And she's talking about she's like, oh, I can't believe this is happening, and
she's like, I could have helped her.
I could have stopped it. It's my fault for having this show, basically. And he says he gets real frustrated, and he fucks up.
That's when he slips up. Yep.
And he says, "Oh,
she lived 3 blocks away from the art gallery, anyways. It could have happened to anybody.
There's multiple girls who were mutilated and murdered, and she gives him this weird, like, stone cold look.
Like, she looks over and like, what did you say? She's like, how did you? Or she doesn't even say anything, and he's like,
she stops. She doesn't say anything, and he realizes he slipped up, and then so
he's like, I talked to her after the art gallery, and I asked her for a ride, and I gave her a ride home. And then he's like, that's what you were gonna ask, right? Like, how did I know where she lived? And then she's like, I think I'm gonna go to sleep now. Like, I'm really tired. Yeah. And you can tell she's figuring out what's happening. Mm-hmm. And she starts kind of looking around and looking for a way phone out. Or a weapon of some kind. And he's like, oh, let me explain.
She tries to go for the door to get him out, and he says, he's like, no, stop.
Yeah, he throws his hand on the door.
Yeah. And she starts crying because she thinks that something's going to go down.
Yeah.
And he still keeps his cool for a long time, because through the whole thing you can tell that even in his illness there's something different about Anna. Yeah. Where he really wants to be he struggles to be normal for her. He doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't do anything, but he's the most normal when he's around her, I would think, for whatever reason. And so he's really trying to hold on to that and kind of make up for this slip up. Yeah. But it's not working. So she backs up into the kitchen. He follows her, still doing his best to calm her down, and she's getting more frantic. She grabs your standard kitchen knife, takes some swings at him. I think she slices his chest first. Yeah. He doesn't back off. She stabs him through his hand, which you see. And then she locks herself in her bathroom, and he goes to the kitchen to wrap up his hand.
Yeah, and that's when you hear a knock at the door.
Because now that she's in the bathroom, because he's the neighbor.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Martin. She says, "Martin, help me, please. There's something's wrong. Help me." And so he comes running down, and he's like, "What's going on in there?" Banging on the door. And so then Franck sets him up, and he grabs this fucking meat cleaver.
Yeah.
From the kitchen, hides behind the main door,
and unlocks it
so Martin can come in without a struggle. He comes in fully loaded with a baseball bat, looking around, saying, "Where are you, Anna? What's going on?" And the fucking, the room, the apartment's all trashed by this point, and Franck comes up behind him. He turns around and
he cleavers him
in the mouth.
Like
Chelsea grin, like give him a big Chelsea grin.
Yeah,
really fucked up. I don't think I've ever seen that done like that before.
You want to know how I got these scars? Type of style.
Yeah. So then we think Martin's out of commission. He falls back. And then Franck runs up to the bathroom door.
He starts banging on it, kind of kicking it.
"Anna, open this door."
Yeah.
Anna. At this point, he's getting real angry. And then we turn around, and Martin isn't dead.
Yeah, he gets a pretty good hit on him. On Franck.
Yeah, he gets back up with the bat.
Yeah.
And goes after Franck with the bat. It doesn't work. Franck
throws Martin through the
bathroom door. We don't ever get to figure out if he died or not.
Here's Johnny.
But his jaw was mangled. It was
it was gross.
It was hanging off.
It was it was pretty gross.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
He throws Martin through the door, and then proceeds on taking Anna hostage.
Yeah.
He grabs her, this piece of plastic, and kind of suffocates her
with the shower curtain, right?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, the shower curtain in the mirror, and he kind of is like, "Shh."
He's like, "Shh, go to sleep."
Yeah.
This fucking creep.
And so she knocks out. He puts her in the van.
Yeah.
With all his mannequin parts.
Yeah, and that's when they pull up to the back alley of his store, and then he goes to the back to
unload her.
Yeah, and he opens the shower curtain, and he sees a mannequin leg, and then that's when Anna opens the other side of the door and stabs him with the sharp end of a mannequin hand
in the stomach.
Yeah, and he kind of falls down, and then she hits him a couple of times, and then she takes off,
and he's still not mad. He's just like, "Anna, no."
He's like, "Wait, Anna, where are you going?
Why did you do that?" Type of thing. And then we see him pull out the mannequin hand.
Yeah,
it's pretty deep. It punctured him pretty good there. So she takes off down the street to find someone, and a car stops.
Yeah,
and picks her up. And I don't know what she tells them, but they run over Franck, who's following her. They run over Franck. I don't know what happens, but they hit Franck, and then they kind of T-bone, and then hit this kind of
those dividers.
Yeah, one of the dividers in the street, and you just see Anna fucking go through the windshield.
Yeah,
which
and then smacks her head in front of the divider, and then you see her body just fall on the ground.
And you were like, "What?"
You're like, "What the?" For me, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, I thought she was gonna get away. What's going on? And then you see Franck getting up somehow after getting stabbed in the stomach and ran over by a car.
And you see his boots.
Yeah, his boots are bloody, and then he's running over. He's kind of stumbling over to her.
And you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. And then
this like hopeless feeling, right?
Yeah.
Because she was like, she was gone, and then that one little slip up, and he walks over to her, and she's still alive, but she's paralyzed because she smacked her fucking head coming through the windshield. So it looks like she's paralyzed, but she's still conscious. She's looking at him. She can. It looks like she can breathe, but she can't move.
She's struggling.
Yeah. She's got all kinds of gashes and stuff, and he's like, "Why did you do that to me?"
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't gonna hurt you. I was never gonna hurt you.
He's like, I never touched you like the others.
Like you, yeah, not once. You were the one for me. And then he pulls out that crazy knife.
Fuck yeah.
Of his. And we never actually see him scalp her.
No.
But he does. Yeah. It fades to white, and then we're introduced to this fucked up marriage thing.
He's like, here, Anna, we'll always be together. And he's like, you see his bloody hands holding up this little box, and he opens it up, and it's a wedding ring or engagement ring.
He's like, we'll be together forever.
Yeah, and he puts it on the mannequin. Oh my god! And
of course it's Anna's been scalped and put on this bride mannequin with the veil and everything.
The veil, yeah.
And then you see him kind of walking her to the back room, and
carrying her all romantic and cuddly.
Yeah. And there's this. You start to see all his victims come back.
Yeah, they're kind of haunting him. And he's like, "Don't listen to them; they're lying."
It's all his victims, but the
actual actresses of the people,
and they kind of get their revenge at the end.
At the end,
so he gets back to the room, and he's like, "No, you guys can't have her. Like, she's mine. I only want her." And then so Anna disappears, and all his victims come around, and they start mutilating him.
But it's all the versions of them that have been scalped already. And they kind of look zombie-ish almost. And they start ripping him apart. They rip his legs off,
his arms.
Yeah,
they start gutting him.
Yeah, and then that's when they rip his face off.
You see his face.
And then there's a mannequin face underneath his regular human face. Which was like, wow, I'm like, what the fuck?
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, that was it was a pretty big twist. I was like, oh fuck, this is fucking weird. What am I, Wes? God damn it. I'm watching some fucked up shit.
It's all in the name of Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. And you see some more white lights, and then they fade out, and you see SWAT is surrounding him, and he's no longer on the bed where he was being torn apart. He's kind of just curled up in the corner of his room, holding his stomach, and I guess he bled out.
I don't know. They never really tell you if he's dead or alive there, but the cops definitely figured out where he was staying and what happened, and and that's they roll the credits.
And that's the end.
This Sin City, you seem to be attracted to some crazy characters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's representative of a few things. I'm a fan of the genre. I like horror films, but I'm also attracted to roles and experiences that are different than anything I've played, and challenges, and I think in some ways what I found most attractive about this project, beyond the character itself, was the way that the film was being executed. The idea of, shooting the movie almost primarily in POV, and that you'd only really see the killer in reflections, was such an interesting idea. And so clearly it differentiated itself from the original too, which was extremely important to me. So I don't know, I found that such an intriguing prospect, the idea that the audience would be sitting through a movie experiencing what the killer is sort of subjecting them to, I found that could yield sort of disturbing results.
What made Elijah perfect for this part?
For me, he's perfect for this part because he's charming and unassuming and has these kind blue eyes, and what's more terrifying than somebody like that?